Good morning and welcome to NYSE Live. I'm Ashley Mastronardi. Equities are in the green as investors digest a series of reports released over the past 24 hours. First, shares of tech giant NVIDIA rose by close to 5% in extended hours after the chipmaker beat Wall Street's revenue expectation by roughly $2 billion. The report appeared to restore investor confidence in AI in the markets. The S&P 500, of which NVIDIA is the largest component by weight, is up more than 1%. NVIDIA is also one of the 30 Dow components. That index jumped by 0.5% as well. Meanwhile, the September jobs report is also in focus after the Bureau of Labor Statistics released fresh data earlier this morning. This marks the first official look at the labor market since the August report in early September. We'll dive into that report shortly. And staying on jobs, the BLS also confirmed that it will not be releasing the October jobs report due to the government shutdown. Finally, the Fed released the highly anticipated minutes from its October meeting on Wednesday afternoon. It showed division over the October rate cut and raised further uncertainty about an adjustment in December. According to the latest data, traders are pricing in only a 31% chance of a December rate cut. That's down nearly 20 percentage points from Wednesday morning. Here's what else is on tap this morning. We'll dive deeper into September's jobs report with a pair of Wall Street experts. They'll tell us what the numbers, along with the latest Fed minutes, could mean for the U.S. economy. And Money 2020 USA brought together some of the biggest leaders in fintech. One executive from NYSE-listed banking giant JP Morgan explained why the firm is looking to invest in innovation. And as consumers plan out their online shopping strategy for the holidays, the CEO of Dashlane explains why passwords are, quote, the Achilles heel of digital security and why passkeys are part of the solution. As we mentioned a moment ago, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released the September jobs report earlier this morning. The release of the report had been delayed due to the 43-day government shutdown, the longest in U.S. history. According to the BLS, the U.S. economy added 119,000 jobs during the month. That's coming in well above economist estimates of 50,000. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate sits at 4.4%. The BLS also issued a pair of downward revisions, the agency revealing that the U.S. added 7,000 less jobs in July, revising that figure to 72,000. Then the BLS shed 26,000 from August figure, meaning the U.S. economy lost 4,000 jobs during the month. In short, employment during July and August combined was 33,000 jobs lower than previously reported. Joining me now to help break us all down is Jeff Krumpelman. He's the Chief Investment Strategist and Head of Equities at Mariner. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here.
All right. So the September jobs report just came out a little over a half hour ago. What are your takeaways?
Well, I think the number 119,000, which was more than double what was expected, while it's stale somewhat, news, this is September, it's just reassuring. There were a lot of folks out there that were very worried about the labor market. And I think it just really reaffirms to us that things are not as bad as advertised. We had other data that was saying, people aren't really laying off, they're just not hiring as much. We know this is more structural. The Fed's talked about this quite a bit. And quite frankly, if you look at wage growth, unit labor costs, and just growth in real wages, that's supporting consumer spending. And we should expect payroll growth to be a little bit lower than it has been with deportation strategies that are in vogue. So I think that it just took worst case, oh my God, things are really falling apart off the table for a second here.
How much weight do you think this report has going into the December Fed meeting?
I think that they were probably biased not to cut in December anyway. And if there was any kind of, doubt, and you could see this in Fed fund futures, where I think now we're down to, to like 25% odds that we get some type of cut, I think that just solidifies that. And the Fed chair, he was pretty clear in the presser that you had disparate views, with many people saying back in October, I'm not sure if we, should really cut. So I think it just, probably locks in nothing in December.
And the Fed meeting minutes were released yesterday. What is your takeaway from those?
You know what? I listen whenever we have a Fed meeting. I listen to Fed Chair Powell quite a bit, and all it did was just solidify everything that he said in that Fed presser coming out of the October meeting. That we've got people that look at different things. Very smart people on the Fed committee. Some, though, are looking a little more at the inflation risks. Some are, more biased to look towards downside on the labor front. And you got people in the middle. And when you get that kind of disparity, you kind of come with measured decisions. And it's not locked in that we're going to get a December Fed cut. We're data dependent. And I think that's exactly what the minutes said. The minutes came out, as far as I'm concerned, at that presser.
Yeah, and I know historically we usually see markets dip when that, chance of a rate cut is taken off of the table. We did not see that yesterday with the release of this report. Why do you think that is?
You know what? We were talking a little bit in advance of this interview today, and you should be working as an analyst. You said NVIDIA earnings. I agree 100% with your comments on that. Yeah, we just had a wonderful report. Walmart's news was pretty good also. So at the end of the day, the market will have psychiatric moments about, oh my gosh, what's the Fed going to do? But it's about economic growth and earnings. And earnings look pretty darn good.
Anything else you're keeping your eye on for earnings?
In terms of additional reports, I think it will be interesting to see what the retailers do report, and if we see, I think it's more of a industry-specific areas within. Is it leisure? Is it where do you want to be positioned? But certainly, as these retailers report, we'll be watching for weakness in the part of consumer. Quite frankly, I would be just fine if we had target of 6,600 for the S&P 500 by year end 2026. That's right where we're at. So, it might make us look pretty smart if we just settled in here. But quite frankly, we've had decent earnings growth this year, and we don't need a melt up in here over euphoria about Fed rate cuts and policy stuff. I think that if it just settled in for a couple months or quarter, we'd be just fine with that.
And as we reach the end of 2025, what sectors do you feel like we should be focusing on? The idea of tech just being overdone, I think is overdone. Bubbles. I think the bubbles and the references to bubbles. I would be still in semis. I wouldn't be over concentrated, but I would have exposure there for sure. And NVIDIA still is not expensive, but there are a number of semi names. I think that there are areas within technology that have been ignored. Software, you've got names like ServiceNow that are off 20-25% this year, and they'll benefit from next-gen AI as well. I also think healthcare and energy, some of these ignored sectors look pretty interesting to us, particularly healthcare. And as we go into midterm election year, where you get greater drawdowns, offensive defense, if you will, there are catalysts to drive those names, and yet they're cheap. All right, Jeff Ruppelman, Chief Investment Strategist and Head of Equities at Mariner. Thank you so much for joining us at the New York Stock Exchange.
Thanks for having me.
In person.
Yeah, this was fun.
Good to see you in person.
Thank you.
Coming up, an executive from NYSE-listed JP Morgan explains why he's paying close attention to digital assets and, of course, AI. Stay tuned to hear what he had to say.
At ICE, we aim to solve some of the biggest problems in markets. Often these issues come down to a lack of transparency because a market doesn't have the right technology, data, or systems. We address this by digitizing analog markets. Digitizing markets brings transparency. At the heart of this is our technology. It's the same technology which underpins our trading venues, that powers the New York Stock Exchange, that drives our fixed income pricing, and our mortgage platform. Deep trust in our markets has made us the world's largest exchange for energy trading. Our exchanges price the world's most important commodities, many of which support the shift to lower carbon fuels. In mortgages, we operate across the life of a loan, Through electronification, we're making the home buying process faster and simpler. And through our data, we're bringing new transparency to mortgage securities. We're bringing you powerful, fast technology, access to a depth of market data. We're building liquid markets across asset classes and geographies. And we're listening to our customers every day about what you need.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. Earlier this fall, the biggest names in fintech gathered in Las Vegas to reimagine the future of money. One of the leaders in attendance was Max Newkirchen, global co-head of JP Morgan Payments, who sat down with Remy Blair to talk more about how the NYSE-listed banking giant is investing in innovation. Take a listen.
We indeed had a great run this year with our business. It's ultimately the result of years and investment and focus on our customer needs. And we've seen good growth across all regions and industries, and we look forward to seeing that continue.
And when we talk about an event like Money 2020 in particular, we know that it can be a sneak peek into the future of payments. So what do you expect to see, and what have you been noticing on the floor this year?
Two topics that definitely stood out for me this year at Money 2020 are, number one, anything around digital currencies, digital assets, and number two, anything around AI, agentic commerce, and how AI can transform payments. And these are also two topics that we feature very prominently in our presence here at Money 2020.
And with JP Morgan very prominent on the floor, we noticed that there's even a biometric juice bar as well. So panels as well as demos. What do you want people to take away from this year?
JP Morgan is very focused on innovation in payments. And we really look to innovate the payments landscape to help our clients better. You mentioned the biometrics use case, which is a great experience to make shopping easier. You just register once with your payment credentials and with your smile, and then you can go to any merchant, including here, and buy a juice, buy a hot dog, or just buy a pair of shoes. So it's a great example of how we bring innovation to the consumers and to the merchants to improve their payments experience.
Yes, and speaking of innovation, Max, you've been attending Money 2020 for many years. So what feels different to you this year compared to other years, especially when we're talking about the direction as well as some of the conversations that are taking place?
This year, there's definitely a big focus on digital currency and digital payments. We have also launched our tokenized deposit solutions that allows treasurers to really use the new technology to move money truly 24/7, 365, basically around the year, and to make it also much more easy to do money management by using the new technology. So that has been a big focus area. And then, of course, AI, which we use both to build solutions for our clients, to help them manage their payments better, but also internally to become more efficient with customer service, with payment operations, as well as with our technology.
So you just mentioned money moves, and of course that is something that we're watching very closely here at Money 2020. But when you take a look back at 2025, what would you say are the trends that have impacted the way that money moves?
We definitely had this year a overlay of macroeconomic themes. So the tariff announcements that came throughout the years definitely were top of mind for our clients. And the good news is that they've mostly really managed well through that and have reached out to us to see what can they do to improve their supply chains, improve their cross-border payments, manage their liquidity more tightly. So that has been top of mind, but I feel that many clients have actually managed through that very well throughout the year.
And of course, when we're talking about payments, evolution is key here, and it's part of business. So what would you say JP Morgan has done in terms of payments to adapt to innovation?
What is key for payments is to continuously invest in innovation. You cannot make a big splash in 1 year and truly transform your franchise. What is important that you consistently invest year after year, modernize your platform, add new payment rails, think about innovation, and then over time you can build a really, really strong franchise that delivers value to your clients. And that is also ultimately how we prioritize our investments and run the business. We get feedback from our clients, what they need, what they're interested in, new payment rails, new geographies, new payment methods, and then we work with them to implement it.
And finally, Max, before I let you go, as we head into the holiday season and the new year, I do want to ask you, what excites you the most about the future of payments?
I'm really excited about seeing all the innovations that we talked about here scale and come to the market. And what really excites me is when we see our clients come back to us and give us feedback and say, you launched the biometric payments, it's really helping us grow our business. Or a treasurer that comes to me and says, we use your blockchain solution and it makes my life easier and I can manage my liquidity much more tightly. Those are the best moments of running payments.
Thanks, Max Newkirchen and Remy Blair for that interview. We have plenty more to get to on NYSE Live, but first, a reminder that the 102nd annual NYSE tree lighting is just 2 weeks away on December 4th. We'll be covering the event from start to finish right here on NYSE TV beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Here's a look at what unfolded during last year's celebration.
3, 2, 1.
Real estate is a major asset class, yet there is little visibility into loan dynamics. At ICE, we're bringing new data, technology, and fixed income expertise to capital markets, creating transparency into residential mortgages to better anticipate loan prepayment, defaults, and losses. Transparency, price discovery, innovation. Mortgage data happens here.
Across global markets, data underpins every decision that is taken. At ICE, we provide quality data and analytics across multiple asset classes, from fixed income, energy, commodities, and equities, to areas like climate risk and the entire life cycle of a mortgage. To help inform trading decisions, our pricing and reference data covers millions of instruments. In fixed income, our data can help reimagine your workflow. In energy, Our oil and natural gas data is used by global traders, while our energy transition data helps navigate the shift to a low carbon economy. In mortgages, our data covers the life of a loan, from origination to secondary markets. We can meet your data needs wherever you are. Whether it's pre-trade analytics, pricing, or post-trade reporting, our data can offer a foundation for sound decision-making, helping market participants to manage risk and spot opportunity.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. Thanksgiving is 1 week from today, meaning Black Friday and Cyber Monday are just around the corner. And while it's an exciting time of year for consumers, it is also a busy time for scammers. Joining me now to share more on how shoppers can protect themselves this season is John Bennett. He's the CEO of Dashlane, a password management company. John, welcome.
Ashley, thanks. Great to be here.
So first, before we get into all of this news, tell us more about Dashlane. What service are you providing customers?
Sure. Dashlane is a leading password management provider, and we help consumers secure their digital assets and their credentials, and we also help enterprise businesses do the same thing for their employees worldwide.
All right, and I understand that you believe that passwords are the, quote, Achilles heel of digital security. Why is that?
If you think about passwords and just the histories of passwords, they worked when we had only had to remember a few sites, and we had maybe less than a dozen sites that we spent time in, and we could create unique passwords. And what we found now is, like all of us, on average, a consumer has over 300 credentials that they need to access websites. And so a lot of times, we're reusing passwords, or we're using passwords that aren't that secure. You also have the rise of generative AI, which is great for a lot of things for consumers and businesses, but it's also being used by malicious actors, and increasingly these phishing attacks, these attacks after consumers and these credentials. It's sophisticated, it's operating at scale, and increasingly passwords are sort of that area that they go through. That's that weak link, which creates great harm to consumer and businesses.
And what are passkeys, and how do you feel they're impacting authentication?
Yeah, so the way I think about passkeys is, think about this. It's this super secure, invisible digital key that allows you to unlock a specific website through the biometrics on your phone or your device. There's a lot of amazing cryptography advancements behind this, but it is far more secure than passwords. You don't have to remember a long phrase or a password, and it works seamlessly once it's set up. And each passkey only works with that specific website. So it's very resistant in terms of phishing. You can't be faked out to go use that passkey in a fake website, because it just won't work.
And I understand that retailers are very keen on passkeys. Why is that?
Yeah, so we recently released our Passkey 2025 report, and we looked at the Power 20 passkey providers and the growth of that. And I think, not surprisingly, at the forefront is e-commerce providers, and some of the largest, obviously Amazon and Target and Lowe's and others. And there's a couple reasons for that, which is first is they know that they're being targeted. They know, especially, we talk about we're coming in on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Like those 2 days, it's like 10% of holiday shopping occurs in those 2 days. And what they want to do is they want to provide a much more secure way to authenticate their users, protect their users. But the other thing about passkeys that's pretty remarkable is it's one of these things where, when it's set up really well, and you look like, again, some of these companies that we looked at are just having explosive growth, like Amazon and Target and others, is it's frictionless. So the user is able to set up that passkey, and they're able to get right to the checkout and do that in a secure way, and know that when they come back, they don't have to remember a passkey. I think the other thing that's driving that is, think about how many e-commerce sites that they have first-time users that are trying to set up and make a purchase. The thing that's great about passkeys, it's more secure, it can't be phished, and it removes friction. So that basically, like looking in the camera or using your thumbprint, you're able to set up your account, access that cart, and complete a checkout.
And where does Dashlane fit into ensuring shoppers are able to avoid being the victims of online fraud?
It's a great question. So, we've been sort of at the forefront in terms of recognizing, how game-changing this technology was. And what we look at is our consumer users and our business users. We were at the forefront in terms of supporting passkeys on all the different platforms as they became available. And where we sit in this is we want to be able to provide consumers and businesses the ability to store and manage their passkeys in the way that they want to store them within our digital vault, and also be able to use them across all the different platforms we live in. So whether that's Google or Apple or Microsoft, make it frictionless in terms of being able to use it in the platform that they want to access that application or website on. The other aspect that we play, I think, a key role is we also have been at the forefront in terms of driving and supporting some of the standards by some of the large platform players like Google and Apple and others, this is also about being able to take these passkeys or your credentials. And if you want to take them out of Dashlane and put them in a different password manager, you should be able to do that. You should be able to do that securely and frictionless. If you want to bring them into Dashlane, you should be able to do that. And that's where we're playing on the forefront of passkeys.
All right, thanks for the great info, John Bennett, CEO of Dashlane.
Thanks so much, Ashley.
Don't go anywhere. The opening bell is up next.
What if we start going after the big banks? We grow into more countries, we go into Europe, we go into US. Standing here today, 20 years later, we actually disrupt the whole retail banking industry. We're looking forward to disrupting the retail banking industry because it has made too much money and it hasn't taken the best interest of its customers. And that's what we're trying to do. And the billions we've given back in zero interest to our customers are amazing.
At NYSE, our mission is grounded in innovation. But our strategy is built for the long-term value creation. Our technology is only as powerful as the lives it improves. And at the center of everything we do are patients. This is just the beginning. We look forward to continuing this journey with all of you together.
We are not your typical tech company. We build software for transit agencies. Our users are often the city's poorest residents, seniors, people with disabilities. In this IPO, it's an incredible moment. But looking beyond this moment, I really feel that we're just getting started and some of the best is yet in front of us. And I can't wait to see what we'll do as a public company.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. In just a moment, Viking Acquisition will ring the opening bell to celebrate its recent IPO. Viking Acquisition is a blank check company that says it's pursuing an initial business combination target in any business, region, or industry. The firm's CEO, Håkan Wolin, will ring today's opening bell. Wolin is also the founder and managing partner of financial services firm Kings Rock Advisors, and he's been in the industry for over 3 decades. Let's see his moment when he rings that opening bell. An exciting morning for Viking Acquisition Corp. They just rang the opening bell and stocks are officially open for trade. Joining me now is Jimmy Lee. He's the CEO of the Wealth Consulting Group. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, so there is a lot to unpack today. Markets have just opened. What are you looking at most closely as we go into today's session?
Well, it's a great day to be here. I mean, the NVIDIA earnings report was a relief to a lot of people concerned about, this potential AI bubble. And, I think that a lot of investors are thinking that buying on the dips is what we've been doing, is maybe the potential good thing to continue to do until the year end. And so I think that, and relieving a lot of concerns around other issues that people are talking about, private credit. I think, interest rates going up recently have been one of the factors on why stocks have sold off a little bit. And as I said earlier about buying the dips, we think that that's a continued, a good strategy for investors that are looking for the long term. We think that there's a chance that we can see 7,000 on the S&P 500 going into year end even.
All right, and let's dive deeper into these NVIDIA Q3 earnings. What did you take away from the report and CEO Jensen Huang's remarks afterward?
Well, it's about revenue, and I think a little less concerns about margins and the guidance for next year. And so we know that the AI story is not going to be over, and NVIDIA is right at the center of this. And so the concerns about this ecosystem, though, that a lot of people are talking about, and some of the leverage that not all the companies, but maybe one company in particular is using to finance a lot of this stuff, I think is the big concern. And we may get some sort of an adjustment in the future if there's a blip with one of those companies in that ecosystem. But I think in the long run, the spend and what people are investing into, or companies are investing into, we think will continue to happen. I think also investors are looking forward to what it's going to look like longer term in terms of the second and third derivative type companies that are related to this AI boom, how they can benefit. And at some point, investors are going to want to see this return on this big spend.
And I know there had been some trepidation in the AI sector recently. Do you think that NVIDIA's earnings have restored confidence in this sector? And how do you think it'll affect it more broadly? Well,
certainly, yes, in terms of continued spending. And I think the biggest concerns from a macro perspective are the elimination of jobs. Jobs right now obviously is a big thing, a big topic today in a slowing economy. And so I would like to see the Fed cut. And as I talked about with interest rates going up a little bit, I think that's one of the reasons why we had a little bit of a sell-off, is that the chances of a cut in December have come down. I personally believe that the Fed will cut in December, and I think that what the pricing is today on how many cuts next year, I think we could get potentially a little bit more.
All right, yeah, that's right. I think about 40% of traders are pricing in a December rate cut. Why do you think they're going to cut in December if that number has gone down?
I think that the Fed's going to be a little bit more forward-looking, and I know that they, know that the economy has slowed down, and especially in certain areas where the consumer has not as much money as other consumers, and so I think the Fed cut will help those consumers more. Just like I think in other sectors of the economy, like small cap stocks, for example, are more affected with interest rates, right? And so as rates come down, I think you get more broadening out in the markets. And the trade that's been, heavily into the Max 7 and big tech trade, I think will broaden out as we get lower rates.
And September jobs report was released at 8:30 this morning. What are your takeaways from that report?
There was growth, right? And I think the concerns might be that since we're still adding jobs, that the Fed's not going to cut. But I think that with all the revisions that we typically get with those reports, I think that longer term, I think the Fed knows that we're still in a restrictive kind of a situation with rates. And so I think that they'll be sensitive to that.
All right. And I understand that when it comes to sectors, you see some risk in energy. Why is that?
Well, we think that energy is the potential, big problem with the AI boom, is that in order to use those chips, you need power. And so we've seen a big sell-off in some of these, like nuclear stocks, for example. And so I think energy is important, and so I think that could be the risk in terms of what could slow down the AI boom continuing to occur. And so I think that's in terms of energy. But when it comes to overall different sectors, we think that this broadening out theme will happen. There are trillions in cash in money market funds that we think will come out of money markets as rates come down, as the Fed lowers rates. and we'll go into longer duration assets such as bonds and some equities.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy Lee, CEO of the Wealth Consulting Group. Thank you for joining us at the New York Stock Exchange.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right. Still to come this week is International Fraud Awareness Week, and one company in particular is highlighting this initiative as it aims to safeguard the entire customer journey. Its CEO will join us with more. Meanwhile, you're probably used to taking notes on your laptop or even with a pen and paper. One company is looking to revolutionize note-taking with the help of course, AI. You won't want to miss this. Plus, aerospace company Impulse says space industry is lifting off literally. Its COO will explain why. Stick around.
Because we have the NYSE coming here because of the tremendous business success that we have in Texas. There's a new phrase, Y'all Street. A new phrase that's expanding across America, across the globe. One thing we know in this state is the men and women who go to work at these businesses every single day that make Texas what it is. We got to keep our vision going forward. And we want to thank you for coming here and locating right here in Dallas, Texas, a trading exchange. Give it up for NYSE, Texas.
At Angel, over 1.5 million members of the Angel Guild decide which stories we want. Stories that inspire our kids and uplift, not divide. This moment belongs to Angel's families, team, investors, filmmakers, guild, and next generation. ANGX isn't the goal. It's a symbol of our launch into the next chapter. Today we ring the bell of a global and growing movement to blanket the earth with stories that amplify light.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. With Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the entire holiday shopping season on the horizon, International Fraud Awareness Week is a global effort looking to minimize the impact of fraud. And one company in particular, Cion, is at the forefront of these efforts. Joining me now in person is Cion co-founder and CEO Thomas Kudar. So nice to see you, Thomas.
Thank you, Ashley.
All right. So first, tell us about Cion. What is your company providing to customers?
Sure. Cion mission is quite simple. We are protecting businesses online by preventing fraud and money laundering worldwide. We have built the global leading solution to prevent fraud and money laundering risk real time, and as well as we provide a bundled SDK for our clients, which can cover the entire customer journey from registration throughout login and onboarding, and as well as transactions. With this tool, we can detect the customer digital profile and as well as the device which the customer is using at the moment. We can enrich this data with more than 900 unique signals, which is our secret sauce. And we have protected businesses by saving more than $200 billion until now.
All right, and International Fraud Awareness Week is upon us. What is the significance of this, and what is Cion doing to spread awareness of fraud prevention?
Yeah, it was established in 2000 by the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners to bring awareness to this problem. This is an increasing issue. Businesses are expected to lose more than 10.5 trillion this year due to cybercrime, and is growing more than 43% according to business leaders. We are encouraging leaders and as well as employers to proactively take steps to mitigate this issue by raising awareness and education. What we are doing here is creating useful online content and also creating in-person meetings with business leaders, practitioners, to actually exchange best practices, the knowledge, know-hows, and as well as AI is fueling this issue. So it's an increasing challenge for many businesses out there. It's not a technical issue, it's a business critical risk which are impacting customer trust, revenue, and also regulatory posture.
All right, and I understand that Xeon launched a new product this week. Can you walk us through it, tell us more about it and its capabilities?
Yeah, as part of our horizontal product strategy, we're launching new toolkits as part of our compliance suite. We are helping businesses to mitigate their regulatory risk by enabling them to tailor their compliance sets to actually detect money laundering risk in a brand new level. We can help them to use our AML Copilot to reduce the number of manual reviews which they have to do on risky accounts.
All right, and Black Friday and Cyber Monday are coming up. Do you have any tips for customers as they navigate shopping?
Yeah, they have to be always very careful and also alert where they're entering their credit card information, the personal details. As I've mentioned, this is a huge and increasing issue. This is the busiest and riskiest period also throughout the year. So what we have seen is a 400% increase last year in bot attacks, which also leads to a 374% increase in manual reviews for businesses, which means that fraudsters have an easy time to blend in the real traffic and also creates constraints on risk teams. So what we recommend to online consumers is just to be super aware of what website they're using when they're entering their personal information, and always watch out for suspicious signals throughout their digital journey.
What are some of those suspicious signals? If I'm like on a website and I'm about to enter my credit card information, are there any red flags or things that I should look out for that might be a problem?
Yeah, it's very important to check the authenticity of the website. You have to see if there are any reviews online about the web store, the online shop that you are using. You have to see if even the seller, if it's on a marketplace, are reputable. You have to watch out whether the website has been around for a long time. You have to check if you get back a confirmation email after your purchase, whether there is a tracking number that you can track your parcel through. So that's related to online e-commerce, but also as well as if you are opening a bank account online or creating a profile, you have to make sure also about the same concerns. You have to check the authenticity, the genuinity of the website that you are using at that moment.
All right, and what is next for Xeon?
Yeah, we are on a journey to become the category leader in our space, launching as well as a KYC product to help businesses to fully cover the onboarding journey as well and become a single source of truth, what we call a command center for risk and compliance.
All right, Tomas Kadar, Xeon's co-founder and CEO, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
Earlier this fall, NYSE International Day brought together global business leaders, including founders, C-suite executives, top-tier investors, and members of the NYSE-listed community. One of those companies on hand was Plaud, which is looking to bring note-taking to a new level with the help of AI-enabled devices. Co-founder and CEO Nathan Shu told me more about it. Check it out.
So, AI note-taking devices that is able to capture conversations for both in-person and phone call conversations, where we have equipped the devices with the most powerful microphones, and also we have strong battery life, recording distances, so they are able to capture conversations in versatile situations. And after that, we would be processing the audio with transcription and also summarization capabilities that eventually they will generate really powerful and insightful summaries for these meetings.
All right, so I understand that this one can attach to your phone or potentially another device, and this one attaches, like you have it, onto...
Yeah, it's a wearable device.
It's a wearable device. Yeah. So can you walk me through, if I am having a conversation with someone or a meeting, how, we'll start with the wearable device, how would that process work? What would that look like? And I understand you have an app also where you can see all this information.
Well, I think I would prefer to start with the setting, right? Let's say for lots of professionals who work on the go, very often they get to talk to the clients or patients, etc., to try to understand each other and exchange ideas. And what most often happen is they cannot remember all the stuff they have talked about, and also they may not understand each other that well. So with these devices, when they have the microphones, they are able to accurately capture the conversations with high fidelity, and also we have noise cancelling features that are able to capture the audio really with powerful clarity. And after that, we would have the AI transcription that accurately transcribes the conversation into potentially over 100 languages, so that you would have the meeting minutes. And after that, we'll be summarizing the conversation with. We have over 3,000 templates that have been contributed by over 1 million cloud users who are experts in different sectors. And so we're able to process the transcript and summarize the conversation into structural, insightful either summaries or action items. And later on, we are even able to incorporate large language models to be able to have ask features such as ask plot. We are proactively suggesting questions or insights that you may not have realized without solutions like plot.
All right, and what are some of the most interesting use cases? I understand someone told me that you can talk into this and AI can create a book out of that. Is there anything else really interesting like that Plot is doing?
Yeah, sure. I think I have received a message from a Plot user on LinkedIn, right? That was the most compelling story I've received from recent months. So it was a father who has a little child that was like 19 days, and the child had severe illness. So the father was really anxious and nervous, and he was bringing the child to the doctors almost every day, and he was struggling with trying to memorize and understand what the doctor said about this child's treatment plans, etc. And he was really saying, like, Nathan, I'm really grateful that you have created Plot, because Plot nose pin is I'm able to wear Plot nose pin every time I visit the doctors. And Plot nose pin is able to capture the conversation accurately and transcribe that, summarize that, so that every time I'm having a peace of mind, understanding what the doctors talked about, like the treatment plans and how should I take care of my little baby. And the child has done a lot better. And I think so. The way that we are helping lots of people with their both on a professional level and also with their lives is truly like rewarding for me personally. Yeah.
And that kind of goes into my next question. Your mission is to amplify your intelligence. So amplify the user's intelligence. How is Plot working to make that happen?
I think by saying that, we are adopting this human-first philosophy, right? We have lots of innovative companies trying to leverage AI to either benefit humans to make them more capable, more productive, or some companies may try to create powerful agents to replace humans. I think at Plot, we always adopt this human-first philosophy. By saying that, let's say how Plot develop its solutions. We think from how humans work, right? We use our ears to listen, we use our eyes to see, our mouths to speak, and our fingers to touch. And we interact with another human being. And that's how the work gets started, right? We get to understand what is the task, what is the topic, and what is the knowledge and experience that we can inherit from another person. And I think most people underestimated the value of conversation itself. Conversation, from our perspective, is a form of intelligence. And every time we have a conversation and then we start using the keyboard to write a message or create a document, etc., we don't realize that we would have lost 60 to 80% of the intelligence that was happening there. So by designing Plot, we always think about how are we able to combine the sensors, right? Let's say microphones versus people's mouths, cameras for eyes. Microphones for people's ears, cameras for eyes, and speakers for mouths, and buttons for fingers, for intentions. By having these powerful sensors that are, in a way, extension of humans' organs, and combine that with large language models, then we are able to have 100% memory, zero distraction, and to be able to understand everything really well. And starting from there, we are able to further leverage digital workflows, tool use, or AI agents to make people's work a lot productive and efficient.
Thanks, Nathan Chu, for that interview. Coming up, our next guest says that the space industry has been powering everyday life for decades. He'll explain next.
Today marks a major milestone in our journey.
The book is flashing, 2.2 million up.
This building has been the backdrop for some of the most important chapters in the United States history, and it's truly an honor to stand here as MyX becomes part of that story. As the MyX enters the public markets, we do so with the same core values. Focus on superior tech, award-winning customer service. That's what's guided us from the first day to today. We waited years for this moment, and just like in trading, timing is everything. Our time is now, and I can't wait to see what we achieve next.
Today is another starting point on our journey. And as we all know, the launch is just the start. So let's all get ready to design Figma's future together. Because today, design is going public. Our community's craft is going to literally define the way that society interacts with technology. It's creative, it's vibrant, and it's global. I am so proud of this team. The future of Figma, it starts now.
This vision to be listed here in the New York Stock Exchange, the cradle of capitalism, the home of free enterprise. It's been really awesome. To our bullish colleagues, you're the hardest working, best group of people I've ever worked with. And we all believed in this promise that, hey, this create a better world and we can increase efficiency and we can be part of the free enterprise system.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. From IPOs on the NYSE to significant investments, the space industry has made plenty of headlines in 2025. And our next guest says there is plenty more to come. Joining me now is Eric Romo, COO and president of aerospace company Impulse Space. Eric, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so first of all, what is Impulse Space? What are you doing?
We're a space mobility company. So what that means is that we don't work on getting to space, we work on moving things through space. In practice, that means if you need to go really far away in space or you need to move quickly between orbits, we're the company that helps with that. We make a small space vehicle that's largely for national security purposes that moves really quickly within space, and we make a larger space vehicle that's good at bringing large communication satellites very far away out to geostationary orbit.
What are the logistics for that, for getting something into space? Is there like a regulatory environment? It's absolutely fascinating.
Oh yeah, but very much so. So as you can imagine, space is really started as a military regime, and so it's kind of grown up in that regulatory environment of the Air Force and then now Space Force being in control of a lot of stuff, including the launch pads. Luckily, though, with the advent of what SpaceX has done, it's really changed into more of a commercial industry. And so it's become easier and easier to book rides to space and get there quickly.
All right. And what is driving momentum across the commercial space industry right now?
Yeah. You really can't tell that story without starting with SpaceX. So SpaceX, just for context, just hit, just the other day, they surpassed the mass that they've lifted to space is more than every other rocket, American rocket in history. So starting with the Apollo program and Saturn V and the space shuttle and all that stuff, if you stack all that stuff up, SpaceX has now done more than all of those rockets combined. And so they've really revolutionized access to space, and that's sort of the start of this. The next thing they did, though, is they invented what's become the best business in space with Starlink. And that's part of the reason that everybody knows their name now. The rockets are really cool, and they're cool to watch on YouTube, but Starlink is a big business. It's now, it's hard to get data out of that company sometimes, but it's approaching, I think, $10 billion in revenue right now. It's the biggest business in commercial space. And then the next thing that's happening is they're trying to take that next leap in revolutionizing access to space space with Starship. And so Starship is supposed to be an order of magnitude cheaper than the Falcon line that they're launching today. And that, people think in the industry, is going to really continue to drive commercial space forward. So really starts with them and then proliferates to the investors who are chasing the next SpaceX and want to put money into some other companies that might be the next Starlink, and then companies like ours who are trying to take advantage of this revolutionized access to space.
And what impact will opening up access to space have on our world?
Yeah, I mean, people don't really think too much about what space has done for us historically, but it's a lot. The GPS constellation, as an example, started as a military thing. It started for our troops in different theaters to know where they are and position things and use rockets to hit stuff. But now it's become as this amazing asset for our day-to-day lives. Everything, DoorDash, Uber, logistics from Amazon, airplanes, crop fields, everything relies on GPS. It's, by some estimates, something like $1 trillion in economic value come from this basically public good that's out in space. And so that's the first thing that really unlocked for commercial access to space. But the next thing is really telecommunications. So telecoms from space has been around for about 25 or 30 years, and the only time people really experience it, most people, is when they're on an airplane, and you see a little logo in the corner that says which space company is powering their access from for internet access from space. But now with Starlink, it's a lot more people. You've got, by some estimates, millions, if not tens of millions of people who are getting access to the internet because of Starlink. And the next thing that a lot of people think might happen is things like direct-to-device. So if you look at what ASC Space Mobile is doing, they're looking at trying to build a direct-to-device constellation to allow you to use your cell phone in places where you don't have coverage. So that's, I think, frankly, a little bit of a debate in the space community about whether or not that's the next big business to come, is direct-to-device, but there's a lot of people who think it is.
What are some things, and we're in our last minute of the show, but what are some things that your company has moved through space?
Yeah, so we a lot of what we do actually right now is for the purposes of national security, and so moving quickly to going to between orbits, so we can see what maybe China or Russia is doing in space, is a big part of what's going on in the space industry right now. Historically, U.S. and China are the only ones who've had access to space, and now China's really coming on very quickly.
All right, really, really interesting stuff. Eric Romo, COO and President of Impulse Space, thank you so much for joining us at the New York Stock Exchange and sharing something really cool.
Thank you for having me.
Before that's it for us here at NYSE Live. I will be at the anchor desk tomorrow bringing you the latest on the markets. So much going on. We have earnings, labor market news, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We're here to celebrate where we've come from for the last 233 years. Today is a new chapter. Today is a new age. And I think you'll agree that the new chapter is getting off to a good start. The right idea, the right approach, and the right technology will get rewarded in any market.
We can change the outcomes of people's lives everywhere.
The leap of faith, the vote of confidence, that is why we're standing here today, getting ready to ring the bell on the New York Stock Exchange.
Innovation, space, defense, national security is great, but our mission is you.
And what we're building is really, really important for the future of humanity.
In an era of unprecedented technological advancement, companies like Voyager don't just adapt to change.
Rest assured, this is a milestone. It's an important one, but we're just getting started.
It's not the finish line. We have a lot of work to do, a new battle to continue to be waged.
So Voyager's future, best days lie ahead of us, not behind us.
The belief that every individual has the right to build a dream, to live peacefully, that is what Voyager's mission is. And with that, let's roll.